I'm Mark Seifter.
And I'm Linda Zayas Palmer.
And this is Arcane Mark.
Hello everybody and welcome to Arcane Mark.
Welcome to the show.
Today we're going to be building a Rod of Wonder with Twitch. So for folks who may not be familiar with the idea of Rod of Wonder, it is an 8th level item that its claim to fame is the random chart of effects that it has. When you activate it, you don't know what you're going to get.
It could be anything. Leaves could grow from a person's body, or they could turn blue, or there could be coated in nectar, becoming clumsy. You never know what's going to happen when you roll a Rod of Wonder. And so there was an idea, I think last week on Tuesday, someone in chat said, do a Rod of Wonder. So that's what we're doing. Mm-hmm. So if you have any ideas for Rod of Wonder effects, just put them in chat. Now, a Rod of Wonder, when it comes to its item level, is item level 8. So theoretically, we could create things that are a lower or higher level Rod of Wonder, but if we make them so that they are level 8, then they would be appropriate to add to a regular Rod of Wonder if you have it in your games. You could always roll a table using the Arcane Mark Rod of Wonder effects in addition to the effects that are in the regular Rod of Wonder table.
Mm-hmm. And when you're looking at sort of the power level of the effects, a lot of these ones are going to be, if they're just raw spells, you might see 3rd level spells and 2nd level spells, and sometimes there's weird things where there's weird things that are higher level but with some kind of variant that makes them weaker, or lower level with something that makes them larger, or things like that. And a lot of things are not even not exactly spells, and they're just their own wacky effects.
That's right.
So whether you want to suggest a spell to go on it or a new effect.
A Ninja Slayer says, how do we feel about multiple suggestions for this one? Just keep them coming.
There's
29 effects on the D100 table for the regular Rod of Wonder, I believe. So if we come up with 71, then we can fill it so each one only takes up 1%. The way it works now is that like some of them are 1%, but some of them have up to like 4 or 5%.
Yeah, so
on the table.
Part of the inspiration for this, I think, is the idea that we, in our other streams, we'll have more ideas than we can use, but in this stream, we can actually just take any idea that someone throws at us and find a way to build it in. So I'm looking forward to it. So
any idea you have, we will take, and oh, there you are, Leshibat.
Mm-hmm.
We will take your ideas, we will put them in, and then we can have more ideas. Okay, so, Kitsune Warlock says a weaker disintegration that, if it critical fails, disintegrates the rod.
Cool.
A 5x5 foot cubic sandwich with 8 hit points and a break threshold of 4 is created.
Failure.
So the disintegration does 4d10 and disintegrates on itself if you critically fail the attack roll. The next is a 5x4 cubic sandwich filling up a 5-foot space with 8 hit points and 4 break threshold in the nearest free space behind the target. Is just a sandwich. Then
is it a tasty sandwich?
We don't know. I think it's random, so you'll have to figure it out. Next effect is that the rod makes a magical duplicate itself that takes half of the length of the rod, and the rod itself shrinks to half length. So or non-magical duplicate. So there's a non-magical half-length rod and your regular rod.
Oh yeah, so you don't know which one is which if you're just looking.
Yep. A Ninja Slayer has your skin turns green and you gain regeneration or fast healing for 1 round.
Shrinks to half
Let's
size.
see how much regeneration
turns green and you gain regeneration XX.
So the regenerate spell gives you 15 hit points back. So we can say you gain fast healing 15 for 1 round.
Yeah, totally. Fast healing 15.
There you go.
Sweet.
It's a Rod of Wonder.
I just keep thinking about that sandwich.
Yeah, the sandwich is good. So caltrops scatter on the ground in a 15-foot burst around the target.
Caltrops.
Oh, no, sorry. It is a burst that is 15 feet from the target.
Ground in a...
I think that's probably the normal caltrop burst. Let me see what that is. So normal caltrops look like they scatter into a square. But this is a burst, so it's probably like a 5-foot burst that is 15 feet from the target.
This is a
I'm
random
trying to
square.
interpret this.
The random square gets filled with caltrops.
That's right. Or it's a 5-foot burst, so it'd be 4 squares, I guess. 15 feet from target. I just picked an arbitrary radius for the Miss Roy says a tiny storm cloud appears over their head for a minute, constantly raining on them. Which makes things soggy and could cause them penalties, but also a tiny bolt of lightning strikes them for 1d12 electricity damage. And the DC is based on Rod of Wonder, which is always... You don't have to state it because it's automatically 27.
Electricity strikes them...
For 1d12 electricity.
Is that a basic save?
Yes, basic reflex save. So, yeah, I'm going to assume that that does not happen every round, just because of the fact that that would be 10d12, which is...
Yeah, presumably.
A lot. But... It at least would happen at the beginning of the storm cloud. Maybe it happens every other round, so it adds up to a total of 5d12. So you have the storm cloud debuff, and it does more damage than the lightning bolt result of the Rod of Wonder over time too. A Ninja Slayer says you and target gain the effects of a critically successful recall knowledge against each other as your minds meld and you begin to know each other.
That's cool.
That is cool. We'll see how many we can get. If we get to 71, then when you add them to this 29 that already exists, I believe there's 29, then you will have exactly enough so that each one in the D100 table can be exactly 1%.
You know all their secrets, but they
all
know yours.
The secrets. Lava Being says the rod gains a label indicating the name of its true owner, who is alerted to this fact as well as the exact location of the rod.
That makes it dangerous to steal a Rod of Wonder from the Dragon's Horde if it's got this ability in it. She might notice you and come for you. Lots of story hooks possible there.
Don't steal the Rod of Wonder from its true owner. The Lord of Chaos.
Lord of Chaos. Well, maybe Lord of Chaos is going to roll on a random table to determine what they do.
Yes.
Because they're a fan of their Rod of Wonder, but it got stolen.
Well, I mean, the lions roar and the hills take fright because of the moon by day and the sun by night. So we've got to let the Lord of Chaos rule. It's just a thing we've got to do. The last creature to use the wand instantly knows the location of wherever this effect was used and gets a vision of its wielder. So similar, but different. You don't have to figure out who the true owner is. It's just whoever had it before. If they're dead now, that doesn't matter.
Location of wherever it was used
and gets a vision.
Gains a vision of its wielder.
For 1 round, the rod becomes a door of wonder. A random creature is then summoned through the door. It's probably going to be... Let me figure this one out.
Random creature through the door.
Let's say that the random creature, let me make sure I get the right level on this, is a level 2 or lower creature.
Yeah. So the rod as it does has like a random summon an elephant.
There you go. It has a random summon an elephant.
Already, which is like, but this is even more random.
The elephant is like vastly
higher
above
level, yes.
tier of what a Rod of Wonder would normally do. This is even more random. So I guess the fact that it could summon an elephant is certainly higher level than if I said it was a random creature of up to level 2.
But being up to level 2 does mean that it could be like any...
It could be anything.
Anything.
All right, so there's more about previous owners. The spirit of the last owner of the Rod of Wonder appears and proclaims the doom of everyone within 30 feet, which has the effects of the fear spell on them.
It creates, appears, and pronounces doom.
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 Doom on everyone within 30 feet as the fear spell. Sweet.
There you go. That gives me an idea for one. I can suggest one too.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
What do you got?
So here's my idea. It is similar to that, but there's an inevitable disaster. A sort of Rod of Wonder of Damocles is hanging over somebody's head. Like, I guess, a random target within 30 feet, or maybe the target of this Rod of Wonder. 1d4 rounds later, this rod that's hanging over their head descends, and you roll another effect on the Rod of Wonder that happens to them. And then it also deals 30 damage, otherwise as per inevitable disaster. Which has a long description of, like, the GM determines what type of damage happened.
30 damage as per inevitable disaster.
Dun dun dun.
So you could, like, have this, and then the storm cloud comes in, and you're just like, this is like you broke a mirror.
Yes, Rod of Damocles of Wonder. That's exactly right.
Oh yeah, summon a.
So the next one is, upon activation, it becomes an immovable rod for a minute.
Oh yeah.
And it's stuck in place as an immovable rod.
An immovable rod for 1 minute.
Whoops. A hand puppet mysteriously appears on your person and does all of your talking for you.
And that's funny. Does all of your talking for you. But is that hand puppet a puppet? Or could the hand puppet become a puppet?
I mean, you never know, right? You never know. So, next up is going to be
the wielder gains a charge of gains a bout of indigestion
and gains a breath weapon for 1 minute. I looked it up, so it can be like Dragon's Breath potion, probably, except for that you only gain one for 1 minute instead of an hour where you can keep doing it. So it would be that you can shoot out a breath weapon like Dragon's Breath potion, but only once and within 1 minute. It basically does
within 1 minute.
It does 4d6 damage of the appropriate kind.
Breath potion dealing 4d6 damage of the appropriate kind.
All right. Rodception. Okay, so summon an undead distant great relative, which could be up to like a 3rd level animate dead.
Relative.
The rod grows 10 times.
Animate dead.
The rod grows 10 times in size and weight.
Rod grows 10 times in size and weight.
The rod becomes tungsten, falling out of your hand, creating a 10-foot radius cloud of dust wherever it lands for 1 round, with the effects of obscuring mist. If it falls on a creature, they take 6d6 bludgeoning damage.
Of dust? Cool. That...
Yes.
Obscures vision as obscuring mist for 1 round. If it falls on a creature,
they take 6d6 bludgeoning damage.
6d6
with the basic reflex.
Bludgeoning damage. Basic reflex.
Basic reflex. That's right.
Boop.
Next up is a random creature within 30 feet, teleports 30 feet in a random direction.
Within 30 feet. Teleports 30 feet in a random direction.
Will negates.
Will negates.
That's what we got.
Sweet.
How many is that so far?
19 ideas.
19 ideas so far. That's already over half as many as are in the actual Rod of Wonder. So you'd be adding over 50% more.
The rod turns the wielder to face north.
Yes. And then you become flat-footed to the next attack from a creature you do not face. I just wrote this despite some OP friends. I feel like we shouldn't include that because facing isn't in the game. So.
Well, we could still say that the rod turns the wheel automatically turns the wielder to face north because it would let them know where north is.
That's true. You would know where north is. Hey, it's Wall for Perception.
Welcome,
Hi, everybody.
welcome.
Thanks for rating us. We're making a Rod of Wonder. So we therefore have a bunch of item ideas that we're putting together, and we're going to put it all in at tidy.cc/arcademark when we're done. But we have 19 abilities. We're going to see
20 now.
20. Yeah. We're going to see how close we can get to 71, because if we add those to the 29 that already exist, I believe, I'll count again to make sure it's 29. I believe that will give us 1 for every percent in the D% table. 3, 4, 5, 6.
So the ideas we have so far are firing a green ray with a spell attack, which is like Disintegrate, but it does 40-10 damage. If you critically fail on your attack roll, then the rod itself disintegrates. Summon a 5-foot cube sandwich with 8 hit points that is created in the nearest free space behind the target. The rod shrinks to half size and makes a non-magical half-length duplicate of itself. Your skin turns green and you gain fast healing 15 for 1 round. Caltrops scatter on the ground in a 15-foot burst, 5-foot burst, 15 feet away from you. A tiny storm cloud appears over the target's head for 1 minute, constantly raining on them, and a tiny bolt of electricity strikes them every other round for 1d12 electricity damage. You and the target gain the effects of a critically successful recall knowledge against each other. The rod gains a label indicating the name of its true owner, who is alerted to this fact, as well as the exact location of the rod. The last creature to use the rod instantly knows the location of wherever it was used and gains a vision of its wielder. For 1 round, the rod becomes a Door of Wonder, summoning a random creature of up to level 2. The spirit of the last owner appears and pronounces doom on everyone within 30 feet, as the fear spell. The rod hangs over the target. 1d4 rounds later, another effect descends on them. It also deals 30 damage, as per inevitable disaster. Upon activation, the rod becomes an immovable rod for 1 minute. A hand puppet mysteriously appears on your person and does all of your talking for you. The wielder gains indigestion and can shoot out a breath weapon once within a minute, as the dragon's breath potion, dealing 46 damage of the appropriate kind. Summon an undead distant relative, as 3rd level animate dead. The rod grows 10 times in size and weight. The rod becomes tungsten, falling out of your hand, creating a 10-foot radius cloud of dust that obscures vision as obscuring mist for 1 round. If it falls on a creature, they take 66 bludgeoning damage. Basic reflex. A random creature within 30 feet teleports 30 feet in a random direction. Will negates. The rod turns the wielder to face north.
And the next one is rod, wielder, and target become invisible, but can see each other perfectly.
And target become invisible.
To everyone except each other.
To everyone except each other. Nice.
For 10 rounds, the wand acts as a dueling pistol that can be fired without ammunition. But when you, to reload it, you need to use the word bang as part of the interact.
Using the activation word
bang.
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 1 action. I love that it takes you have to say bang. Just 1 action.
The rod informs your former significant other as to your exact location, and any legal paperwork is automatically teleported to your feet. Maybe to make it more applicable to people who did not have a former significant other, could be your former significant other, or what do you call it? Like your debt holder or other
debt holder.
The debtor is the person who owes the debt.
I'm not sure. A debt holder or other person who you have a legal obligation to of your exact location. Oh, you don't want to do that if you've got like a contract with hell and then the devil's like, hello there. Any legal paperwork is teleported to your feet. I could also see it as like the PCs are on the run from some crime that they did in some town, and that's like, oops.
That's right. So the next one is nothing appears to happen, but the next spell cast by the target is counterspelled. So they would use a counteract modifier that is
spell.
That would be a plus 17 just without us saying anything.
Counterspelled.
Or is it counteracted by the rod? So that will automatically make it a 4th level counteract effect.
Counteracted by the rod. Sweet.
Yep. That's right. It'll have its statistics in there already. Next is their creature's flesh and organic matter decomposes. I guess that would be the target's flesh and organic matter decomposes.
Flesh and organic matter decomposes.
I'm going to say that is going to deal 6d6 negative damage with a fortitude save. Basic fortitude save.
Negative damage. Basic fortitude save.
And looks like Dave Nielsen says it would be funny if the counteracting of your spell happened to the fighter. I mean, yeah, that won't do anything.
There you would. I mean, sometimes Rot of Wonder.
Rot of Wonder is the name of that effect. Rot of Wonder! Alright, so we've got a bunch of effects now.
Yeah, How many do we have? 25 now.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes Rot of Wonder type things don't do anything, but a lot of these are more active.
So the next one is nothing appears to happen, but the next spell cast by the rod holder or their ally is counteracted, same as before, using the counteracting.
Appears to happen.
You don't have to say any of the statistics for counteracting because the rod has its own situation.
Rod's holder or ally cast is counteracted by the rod.
All right. So let's see.
What was that about haiku? I saw something about haiku.
It's a haiku that does synesthesia. So synesthesia is a 5th level spell. Now some of these rod effects are obviously stronger.
I did see one that was like
There's
a
even a 6th level summon.
Yeah, but it was I saw one vibrant pattern with a 1-round duration. That's a higher level spell that would normally last for a minute, but it only lasts for 1 round.
Well, the thing about synesthesia is that the successful save already only lasts for 1 round.
Right. Okay.
It already plays with the duration.
Target can speak only in haiku.
Or let's see, maybe oh, I see, because it actually is a haiku. The rod speaks haiku, the target sees nature's grace as synesthesia. So, like, it could also potentially be synesthesia, except for that the clumsy condition is only 1 instead of 3. It still has flat checks on concentrated actions and is dazzled. Or, I mean, treats everything as concealed, technically, not dazzled.
Synesthesia, except clumsy condition is 1 instead of 3.
Still pretty strong. I mean, it's random though, so you can't expect to get it. So the next one is, can we give it old school Dragon Ball power pole powers? So in this case, what happens is then the rod extends to a extreme range. Let's see, are there any like range? Yeah, it extends to range. You've targeted a creature within 60 feet, so extends to the entire to attack the target with making a spell attack roll. It already says that's a plus 17. That's in the rod already. And if it hits, it deals let's say it deals 8d6 bludgeoning damage.
Legit? So you're just suddenly like, pop!
That's right. So that would be like the rod extends. They were also saying maybe it would allow you to scale great heights or reach a distant target above you or strike distant threats. So we got the distant threats in there. Since we already had to pick a target, that's sort of part of the Rod of Wonder. I think that.
And I think that the version where it gets turned into a movable rod would help you with climbing.
Oh, that's true too. Ninja Slayer says roll again. Second result happens, but is underscored by clown music to undermine it.
Second result is underscored by undermining clown music.
which also lowers the DC or spell attack roll by 2 for
Music.
if applicable.
Lowering the DC or spell attack roll by 2 if... Sweet.
Alright, the next one is the Rod of Wonder gains the effects of Shillelagh.
Effects of Shillelagh.
That's right.
Illusory birds fly over
Yes.
your head.
Yeah, that's a kind of Rod of Wonder thing. Illusory birds are just flying around your head.
Fly around your head.
Yep. Next is the rod becomes stuck to the user's hand and can only be removed with an DC 24 athletics check.
And can only be removed with a DC 24 athletics check.
That works. I mean, you're the one who activated it, so we don't even have to give you a save. It's your own fault for using a Rod of Wonder.
Like, I'm just imagining the person who does this and they don't know what it does and they think it's a cursed item because they're having trouble putting it down. And they're like, oh god, oh god.
What's happening? What's happening? Is this a cursed Rod of Wonder? Okay. So a foul stench arises in a 20-foot square area within 40 feet of the rod.
Stench arises in a 20-foot square area. Wait.
Actually, wait. Stinking Cloud is already one of the effects in there. So this is actually similar to one of the ones we already have. It was so good that the designers of the entire game put it in there already, more or less. Having a foul stench that required a fortitude save.
Oh yeah, we totally have that.
Possibly sickened creatures. That's actually one of the ones in the book. So you bingoed on that. Let's see.
But that does a sickening thing. So maybe if we would take the second half of that, there could be something that is poisoning. Oh yeah, we do already have Stinking Cloud.
Oh yeah. They said if you already have Stinking Cloud, that it wasn't one of the ones we had from this stream. It's actually one of the ones in the book to begin with. I happen to remember that from looking through them.
But speaking of things that are not great for the wielder, what if the rod oozes out a contact poison?
Yeah, I think the rod could ooze out a contact poison. Let's see, contact poisons in the general vicinity.
Of that level, yeah.
So, let's say that you contact poisoned yourself with
some kind of level 7 to 8-ish
Nettlewood residue.
There we go. Yep.
You've contact poisoned yourself with Nettlewood residue. Congratulations.
You poisoning the wielder.
That's right. Next one is that the rod attempts to counteract the highest level spell already affecting the target. Just kind of like we were already trying to counter their next spell.
The highest level spell currently affecting the target. Sweet. Alright.
A powerful demon shows up, is angered that it is summoned by such an unlikely turn of events, immediately departing in a gout of flame, causing 66 fire damage to all creatures. It says all targets, so that's probably like all nearby creatures.
Likely turn of events. This deals 66 fire damage. Basic reflex, presumably. Basic reflex.
Yes, basic reflex. It's in a... Let's say it's a 30-foot radius centered on the wielder.
30-foot radius centered on the wielder.
And then it says the wielder treats their result as 1 degree of success worse than what they rolled.
Oh, man.
Because
treats
it's centered on
their
them.
result as 1 degree of success worse than what they rolled.
The rod becomes a type of sausage.
Becomes a type of sausage.
Roll randomly to determine what type of sausage.
Roll on a random chart of sausages to determine what kind. I just love that one requires you to create a random chart of sausages.
That's correct.
It's even funnier if we don't provide a random chart of sausages. Like, GM, construct and use a random chart of sausages.
That's correct. That's correct. David, you don't have to attune held items, only worn items. Censor says that an Eldamon temporarily emerges. It's one that is connected to the terrain that the target is standing on.
That the target is standing on emerges. Sweet.
Next is music emits from the rod. Any woodland creatures within sound, with it, who can hear the music gather to help with mundane tasks, such as sewing, for 1 hour.
Hee hee.
Very Snow White. The wielder ages 1 year with accompanying hair and beard growth, if appropriate. For 10 minutes, all creatures within 40 feet of the rod are unable to perceive the light of non-magical light sources, including the sun. Will negates.
Ooh, that's cool.
One of the wielder's invested items is no longer invested.
One of the wielder's invested items is no longer invested. Whoops.
Thanks for subscribing, Alftro. I'm glad your game finished. So next after that is roll again. The rod uses the rolled effect now and again at the beginning of each of your turns for the next 1d4 rounds.
Your turns for the next 1d4 rounds.
That's
cool.
right. That's right. So next after that is the rod acts as a lesser twilight lantern for 1 hour because it's a rod of Surling.
Twilight lantern for 1 hour. Very cool.
Yes. So let me see. Those are the Rod of Wonder effects we have so far. How many are there?
43.
43. So if we are trying to hit 71, so you can add them to the 29 that are in there, we are over halfway there. Then you could add them to the ones in the core rulebook's Rod of Wonder, and you will have an entire D100 table. In fact, Linda could just put the other ones at the end as like the last 29. Sapient for some period of time and insults the wielder.
For some period of time and insults
the wielder when they attempt actions. Maybe for an hour.
Well, yeah, that makes sense.
It insults you every time you attempt actions for an hour. Oh, you're gonna sneak past the guards, huh?
Shut up, Rod. You're going to break my stuff. Oh, you call that stealth? Anybody could hear you.
Wow, you're really gonna pass off that counterfeit painting as real?
Rod.
This museum guy seems like he doesn't know what he's doing. He thinks it's a real painting. Rod of Wonder, be quiet. Stop it, Rod of Wonder. What are you doing?
Just imagine, like, trying to explain to the guards, like, no, this is a cursed rod. It just makes things up. Oh,
the rod becomes a doom flute for 1 minute, allowing its wielder to cast the Dirge of Doom cantrip.
Doom flute. 1 minute, allowing its wielder to cast Dirge of Doom.
Doom flute. The user ceased to exist for 1 minute. The rod falls to the ground unattended during that time. Then they reappear after a minute. They basically
the rod
are outside of time for 1 minute.
To the ground.
Because the rod stays for that time.
That's hilarious too. Like, you activate the rod and it does that, and the party's like, oh gosh, the rod just destroyed them. What's going on?
Or is like, did they teleport away?
Did they teleport away? Like, they've got just long enough to freak out.
Yep. Creatures and unattended items in a 15-foot radius around the wielder are affected by random prestidigitation effects.
Attended items in a 15-foot radius around the wielder are affected by random prestidigitation effects.
Imagine gathering Scheherazade next from Rico. Each player sets aside the current game, creates new characters, and the encounter is started over with the same opponents.
Creates new characters.
And the encounter is started over with the same opponents with the new characters.
Over with the same opponents.
But playing as their new characters. If the new party wins the fight, the original game resumes and each PC gets a +1 status bonus to all checks and DCs for a single round. Or just all checks, not DCs.
Original game resumes and the party
gets +1 to all status bonus.
+1 status bonus
to all checks for a single round.
For one round. The GM is not allowed to flip the table. That alarms me editorializing. Okay, actually,
I think they are allowed to flip.
I think they are allowed to.
We have to at least let them do that. We already put this like horrific effect in there. I mean, it could have some uses if you're like this monster. I'm not sure because we couldn't identify it, but I think there's like a decent chance it's going to explode when it dies.
We can figure out.
We can figure it out by fighting it with our throwaway party and see if it does. It's like, oh, the radius of the explosion is 30 feet. Huh, okay, everyone, back up. A result that is target creature basically is stunned for 1 round. Presumably, fortitude negates. The next one is a metagaming one. The player must purchase snacks and drinks for the next gaming session they attend. I mean, that might just be something that is automatically thrown in with the Scheherazade effect.
The player... I'm adding it to the Scheherazade effect.
Not because it's part of the rules text, but because otherwise there's no way you've made up to the rest of the group that you did this, and they're not going to let you back.
I'm just adding it to the Scheherazade one.
Rico couldn't remember the actual result of the card game results. It's like some ridiculously minor thing with like you lose some life or something. I think it's just so bad. It's so bad. Let's see. It says that what
Players
the actual
play a
result.
Magic sub game.
Yeah, the actual result is that you lose half your remaining life. I thought it was half your remaining life.
Using the libraries
Rounding
as their
down.
decks, each player who doesn't win the sub game loses half their life.
Yep, that's correct. Is half their life rounded down.
Ooh, we have a body swap one.
Yep.
So we have wielder and
it says the wielder and the targets wind up switching bodies.
And target switch bodies.
There's probably like they both probably receive a will save, and if they both fail, then they wind up switching bodies for a minute or something like that.
For 1 minute.
That's from Asha Mintaloo. Be careful, you might get you might get bound into a glass golem, Asha Mintaloo.
And become glass Mintaloo.
Yes, you never know what's gonna happen in if you get bound to a glass golem by this effect. Alright, so other than that, the rod becomes a contract devil's pen for 1 minute. The next character to sign their body with their own name as an interact action.
Devil's pen for 1 minute.
As an interact action, gains the benefit of the Devil's Luck contract. Let me see what the Devil's Luck contract does again.
1 minute.
It's an item 3 contract.
Benefit. You bargained your soul away to an imp.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Oops.
Whoopsie doops. Alright, the closest food or drink object is affected by the Awaken ritual.
The closer closest food or drink.
Also, consider what it points out, it's a temporary contract of the Devil's Luck contract. And presumably it's temporarily awakened too. Maybe the food or drink is awakened for an hour. Contract
for
may
1 hour.
last for an hour as well, perhaps. Some of these things last for a while. That'll give you a good chance to roll your saving throw again for the Devil's Luck contract. A large mirror appears within 15 feet of the wielder.
Gains the effects of a Devil's Luck contract for 1 hour.
Did you have the food or drink becoming
yes, I do
awakened?
have
Okay,
the
a
awakened
large mirror appears within 15 feet of the wielder. A skilled hireling who is visually identical to the wielder steps out of the mirror in the same space.
15 feet of the wielder. Who is identical?
Looks like you, but is a skilled hireling.
A skilled hireling.
The hireling then leaves and works for the wielder. We'll just say
exactly like the wielder appears.
Yep.
Or steps out of the mirror.
The hireling leaves and works for you for 1d10 days before shattering into glass shards.
Leaves and works for you for 1d10 days before shattering into glass shards.
Next one is the rod casts a 3-action 3rd level, I'm going to say, magic missile. And as long as a 1 doesn't appear on any of the magic missile's damage die, which it probably will even the first time, but as long as it doesn't, you can keep casting, continue activating it to create a 3-action magic missile for presumably 2 actions if you continue, because the activation is normally 2 actions. So you can spend 2 actions to get the effects of 3-action 3rd level magic missile.
As long as a 1 doesn't appear.
As long as a 1 doesn't appear on any of the damage dice. Continually until a 1 appears, which probably it will the first time, but
it might not.
There's 6.
Yeah, you might get extra.
There's 6 of them, and there are 4 dice roll. There's 4 results that they can be.
Yeah.
So there's a decent chance, even though it's not that high, that there's no 1s out of those 6 rolls each time. So that could give you a lot of magic missiles overall. Next, from Chris Abbott, is a fun one. The rod becomes inert for 1d10 days, and it appears to have just been permanently lost all of its magic. But it actually just deactivated for 1d10 days.
Permanently lost all of its magic.
And you might throw it away, but it actually was fine after a d10 days.
It's funny.
How many do we have now? Like 50?
55.
55. Okay, we're looking for 16 more. And then when we add in the 29 that are on the regular rod, then we will have 1% for each. Linda, if you want, you could start putting in the ones from the regular rod.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that while we are...
Just put them in as 1% each, and then we will have the D100 that counts the ones that are in the core rulebook already. And while we think in chat of the last 16 effects. Alright. So we got a couple more, so tell me when you're ready to take ones from chat, Linda.
This will be just a little longer to pull all these guys in.
Mm-hmm. Alright, we'll keep coming up with them. These look interesting so far.
This will also be a way to check if we were correct about the count. I'm just going back from the end.
Mm-hmm. Seems legit.
Almost done.
Alright. So we've got 2 more in chat for when you get in those last 2.
Alright, we need 56 through 72 here.
Alright, here we go. So, the
What's
next
56?
one is a random magic item you have that you have either invested or is on your person is deactivated for 1d10 days. Or it attempts to be counteracted. Or the rod attempts to counteract the item, and on a success, it's deactivated for 1.
The rod attempts to
It would normally be a week with the effect that they said, but we have so many now that are 1d10 days deactivating something.
Invested if it succeeds...
That you either invested or are wielding.
Yeah, that you've invested or are wielding.
And on a success, the item is deactivated for 1d10 days.
Item is deactivated for 1d10 days. This item loves your d10s.
Up to 10 bulk of silver objects within 100 feet of the wielder are replaced with larger copper duplicates of equivalent value. But just in copper instead of silver. So
this is
like
a
you have like a little
the Werewolf
silver
Hunters organization.
You have a little silver earring and you get like this giant copper earring.
Of the user are replaced with large copper duplicates of equivalent value. It looks like we have a...
Memories of a family you've never known before flood your mind. Let's do 1d10 days just because we did it several times before. For 1d10 days, you gain the effects of a random adopted ancestry general feat. At the GM's discretion, or the wielder gains, I guess. At the GM's discretion, the wielder can retrain ancestry feats to reflect their, to embrace the newfound connection.
That's cool.
All right. So next is
train ancestry feats to embrace the newfound connection.
For the next one, we'll say 1 hour. For 1 hour, the user gains the sense blue scent. What it does is, it is an imprecise sense within, let's say, 30 feet. That it, like scent, it's twice as much depending on if it's downwind or half as much if it's upwind. And the only thing it can smell is the color blue. It doesn't smell actual smells. It only smells the color
There's
blue.
There's a lot of blue over here.
Yes. It smells the presence of the color blue. That's it. So, so the next one, I'm going to replace again the 7 days with the D10 days just for the heck of the randomness. For the next D10 days, anytime the wielder enters a business, the rod announces the character in a loud, echoing voice by stating their most heroic deeds, as if the rod were a major domo in a throne room.
Character in a loud, clear voice. And...
announcing... Grifter!
their most heroic deeds.
Grifter the charlatan who has cheated out every other business in town.
In a throne room.
And spent all the money on a rod of wonder. Alright, the next one is similar to Shillelagh, since Shillelagh is already giving some magical effects, but this one is that it gives a magic weapon on itself.
Broadcast.
So
what will be the base?
The question is, what is the base damage? I guess that may be a relevant question for Shillelagh as well. I think that with Shillelagh, we can just say it deals damage as a club. And since Shillelagh is strictly better than magic weapon, we can just probably leave it at that. But that is a good point that we need to give the base of that.
If it were a club.
The rod becomes a pipe fox for the rest of the round.
This is Kitsune, isn't it?
Yes. It even has a pipe fox emoji.
Becomes a pipe fox. They're so cute.
For the rest of the round, whispering arcane secrets to you with the effects of hypercognition. How many more do we
arcane
need? Or is
secrets to you with the effects
we need about 10.
Hypercognition.
Alright, there's a couple more in chat. You gain a -2 status penalty against spells with the earth trait, as you find sand rough, coarse, irritating, and find it annoying that it gets everywhere.
I love that reference. Penalty against effects. How long does that penalty last? With
an hour.
The earth trait for 1 hour. After all, you find
sand rough, coarse, irritating, and annoying that it gets everywhere.
Rough, coarse, irritating, and annoying, and it gets everywhere.
Alright, so let me see what chariot stats we should use for this chariot. I think it may be heavy chariot. I'm checking.
We're making a chariot now?
Yes, a heavy chariot appears for 1 hour.
A heavy chariot appears for 1 hour.
Yes, it just does. I checked. They said they wanted one with 3 passengers, and technically they said 3 total creatures. A heavy chariot has 3 passengers and a pilot, so it's better than that, but that's fine. A heavy chariot appears for 1 hour. The target.
But it also says it has the along with
bridles and yeah, that's part of the chariot, though.
Oh, okay, got it. Well, it says that it has creatures to pull.
No, it says it's designed
to be
for
pulled.
3.
Oh, you gotta find. Okay.
The target constantly casts sigil everywhere it steps with it. Like the bottom of its feet puts sigil on the places that it steps.
Everywhere it steps for
1d4 hours. And yeah, lava being meant for the other party members to be the ones.
Come now, chauffeur me around.
Yes, you must pull my chariot. They meant 3 to pull it and only 1 person fits in it. So in that case, it would not be a heavy chariot because I think that it would be a regular chariot, but let's see how many people you need to pull a regular chariot. So it would be a light chariot, which can only fit the 1 pilot. And then it's usually pulled by 1 large creature, but we specifically say it's a light chariot, but that can be pulled by 3 medium creatures instead, or 1 large creature. But it has everything you need, all of the gear that you need to be pulled by 3 medium creatures.
Let's see. You become mildly allergic to a component used to make healing potions for 1d4 days, or 1d10 days.
While you gain the benefits, you break out in extremely itchy hives, and your face mildly swells for 4 hours after consuming them. You might become sickened 1, which you can get rid of pretty quickly, right after.
Yeah.
It probably also affects elixirs of life, just for fun. Next one is, your wonder is transformed into excessive curiosity.
Oh, this is going nowhere good. And by which I mean it's going to be awesome.
So, for 1 day, you automatically, whether you want to or not, make a single recall knowledge attempt against all new creatures and hazards you encounter, and others relevant to the adventure determined by the GM. But all failures are critical failures.
Against any new creature, hazard
you encounter, and others determined to be relevant by the GM.
And others determined to be relevant by the GM. If you roll a failure.
If you roll a failure, you get a critical failure instead, as you speculate wildly.
Instead, as you speculate wildly.
Yes.
I really like this one.
The next one is, your stomach becomes immediately filled with all manner of fine cheeses, although you don't get to eat them. It imbues you with healing powers, but leaves you sluggish and bloated. So you become sickened 1, and gain fast healing 15 for up to 1 minute, but only as long as you are sickened. Because if you retch and get rid of the cheeses, you lose the fast healing 15. So that's actually, compared to the fast healing 15 for 1 round, that's a lot of healing. Potentially.
So maybe we should take the healing.
But it does make you sickened.
It does make you sickened. What about 10 instead of 15?
So maybe it gives you fast healing 7. Just for like a random number.
Oh,
but lucky 7.
There you go. Really random numbers. It is a rod wonder. It's also 67 on our list.
Oh, it's 67. So that means we need 1, 2, 3, 4 more? Is that right?
68, 69, 70, and 71.
And we got 1 in here, so we'll need 3 after this. A 10-foot wide bottomless pit appears within 60 feet of the wielder and casts gravity well when it appears. I think that's actually too dangerous. Since... although I guess... Yeah, like... it also doesn't necessarily explain what happens with the pit. Like, those old pit spells had, like, 50 adjudication concerns in them. Maybe instead we can just say it casts Gravity Well. That already is a 3rd level spell. So, like, maybe there's a Gravity Well is centered on the wielder and just everything gets pulled in towards you. Alright, so we need 3 more. We've got 2 in chat. So we'll need 1 more after this. So the next one is, all written documents within 40 feet are translated into a language that the wielder does not know.
R.I.P. wizard. R.I.P. your spell book.
Next is, let's look up the effect of
40
Blazing Blade.
Translated into a language not known to the wielder.
Alright, so, the rod changes into a rod of pure energy with the effects of Blazing Blade, except for a randomly rolled energy damage. It's not necessarily fire.
For a randomly rolled
energy damage.
And
since Blazing Blade normally has good damage, I randomly rolled a line. Or no, we can just say chaotic. We know what you are, Rod of Wonder.
Yeah.
And instead of good damage, chaotic damage.
And chaotic damage instead. It has the chaotic trait, okay. Good damage.
Mm-hmm.
It's pure chaos.
That's right. Alright, so there's 1 more. Alright, the last one is you smell of cabbages.
You smell of cabbages.
We'll say you smell of cabbages.
For 1d10 days.
For 1d10 days.
Yeah,
or until you spend at least 1 hour scrubbing yourself down.
At least 1 hour scrubbing yourself down.
And looking for rare cabbage slugs that could cause a problem. No, just...
Okay, well, I was like, what the heck are the cabbage slugs coming from?
What are the cabbage slugs coming from? Linda, the cabbage slugs.
There we go.
Alright, so we now have a Rod of Wonder. We have 100 effects, 29 of which are from the original, 71 of which are from here.
Awesome. To which expands the Rod of Wonder.
So, Linda.
Yes.
Cabbage slugs.
Yes.
Are tiny brown and white creatures in Avatar: The Last Airbender that can reproduce very quickly. A group of them is capable of destroying entire cabbage patches in less than a week.
Oh, is this where
they
my
could destroy an
cabbages
entire ecosystem. It's why when Cabbage's guy was trying to get into bossing, saying they didn't let him go into it.
Oh,
because as a precautionary measure against cabbage slugs.
Okay. There we go. Deep cuts.
Yes, there you go. Now you know about the cabbage slugs. Alright. So now we have a total Rod of Wonder with all 100 of these effects, which may require Linda to post it in like multiple posts to be able to fit it.
It let me, but it really formatted terribly. I'm gonna need to delete.
Well, you can just leave that and then also.
No, this doesn't have the numbers or any of the stuff. It's completely gonna be illegible.
So she's gonna have to do it part at a time.
I will bring this into.
She's putting it in tiny.cc/rkmark. It's gonna have all of ours and all the originals. So there we go. In 1 hour, roughly, we have created a full 100 effect Rod of Wonder. You don't have to be like, oh man, there's a 4% chance for a repeat. That means there's a 1 in 25 chance it's just the same thing as last time. If it was one of the 4% ones. Now you can feel like you're never going to see the effect again 99% of the time on your next effect.
There's a lot of really cool ideas here.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody.
So, everyone, thanks for joining us here. I think that we will have our next episode be another workshop. I think people, especially some people who are new to the game, have been enjoying building things. What should we build next time, Linda? Were you maybe
we already have a.
Were people saying before like a chase? I thought I saw a chase.
Yeah, we were talking about a chase.
Let's show a chase because I think that the new people, especially new people coming from 5e, will be interested to see how you can build like a more complex situation.
I was thinking of all subsystems,
use
but
a
a chase would
subsystem.
be like a really good one for to do as a Twitch build, because it's easy to be like, here's an idea for an obstacle, and then you put them all together.
That's right. So we can build a chase
Mm-hmm.
to show how to do something complex where you're chasing through like a dynamic environment, but you can make it easy using the victory point system rules from the Game Mastery Guide.
There's a question: chase or reverse chase? I think that'll be one of the first things we need to
Yeah,
find
we'll
out.
have to ask people. We're gonna do it based on what you say in chat.
Twitch decides.
Maybe you're the ones running away, or you're the ones chasing them. They're both chases, or a race. That's right.
Yeah.
Dustin, absolutely.
Any sort of
Can
chase
be
type
any of
thing.
those things. So, we'll see you on Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific or 1 p.m. Eastern for a wacky chase race something. Until then, everyone stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you later. Bye!
Bye.